Me, I'm going to ask if oh, great, we're live streaming on Facebook. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas. I am a candidate for the 34th Assembly District, which includes the neighborhoods of Jackson Heights, East Elmhurst, Corona, and Woodside. And I'm super excited tonight to talk about the impact of coronavirus on the Latinx immigrant community. And we have an amazing guest tonight, Julissa Bisono from Make the Road Action, who will be able to elucidate the issues that we're seeing in our communities with the immigrant population and mostly the Latinx population. So as I mentioned, I am a candidate for New York State Assembly, and this issue in particular is really personal to me. I have spent the last more than 20 years advocating for immigrant justice in this community, both local at the state level and at the national level. In 1999, I was on the founding board of an organization called New Immigrant Community Empowerment. And it's an organization that is now thriving or has been thriving and just celebrated its 20th year anniversary just last year. So it's very exciting to see that. And I've known and partnered with Make the Road since its inception. So it's so exciting to work alongside the members and activists and the leadership at Make the Road Action and have their endorsement as well. It's incredibly meaningful, particularly as they're an organization that's rooted in our community. So when coronavirus hit, we quickly shifted our regularly scheduled campaign events to focus on two things. We focused on conducting phone banks every single night to check in on neighbors, and we wanted to ensure that we're offering community mutual aid support and making sure folks are okay and have the resources that they need to thrive in this moment. And we also shifted to virtual town halls on a series of topics that impact our district, as I would have with regular town halls. We initially planned several in-person town halls on multiple topics that impact our community, but we've had to obviously shift to virtual. So thank you for joining us tonight. We've held virtual town halls on everything from the coronavirus itself, to homeschooling, to housing, to managing mental health, to criminal justice, to immigration, to environmental justice, to the census, to applying for public benefits. So all those videos are actually available on my website at votejgr.com coronavirus. And if you click on them, you can actually have the closed captioning translated in Spanish. So it is accessible in both English and Spanish. And as I mentioned, we've been doing phone banking. So we would love if you have some time to join us for a shift. We've already called thousands and thousands of our neighbors, but there are thousands and thousands more neighbors to reach, particularly in this time. So you can sign up for a shift by visiting votejgr.com/phone bank. So before I introduce our amazing guest, Julissa Bisono from Make the Road Action, I just want to share some logistics. We are automatically muted and the videos are turned off as we begin this conversation, but we do encourage your questions. This is just for streaming quality. So you can either click the chat button along the bottom to type in your questions, or you can actually raise your hand in the participants feature, and then we could turn on your camera and hear your voice. So it's totally up to do whatever you're comfortable with. I'll be playing the role of Oprah. So again, please feel free to chat in your questions as they come up, and I'll be sure to bring those into your conversation, or again, raise your hand if you want to join us on the screen. We are recording this video and we're on Facebook Live, so we will be posting it on social media. We'll have a feature where you could turn on the Spanish subtitles for our monolingual Spanish-speaking neighbors. And we will be live tweeting in both English and Spanish. So please follow the hashtag JGR webinar and retweet. And we will be wrapping up at 9 p.m. So I want to honor everyone's time. So just to frame the conversation, this community is at the epicenter of the coronavirus. And it's no coincidence that our community is predominantly immigrants. I'm super excited to have Julissa join us. She's a fierce activist, she's a fierce organizer, and she's an amazing leader at Make the Road Action. And we're going to talk about the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on our immigrant communities. And we're going to talk about the shortcomings of our federal relief package and the lack of action by the state. And how we could fight for justice, because we know that those closest to the problems are often most closest to the solutions. So it is our community that has informed the solutions that we're going to address today. So to kick us off, we're gonna do a short presentation with some important data, and then we'll launch into our conversation with Julissa. Mia, can you turn on the presentation? Great. So that's my name. Welcome again. We'll go to the next slide. So I want to underscore this point. Representation matters because inequality kills. When our communities are not at the table, the decision-making table, our communities are on the menu, right? We're seeing it right now with the amount of people of color that are dying in a moment where we lack true representation both at the city, state, and national level. So this is just a really important quote to go by and to underscore the need for people who live, work in the community and reflect the diversity of the community. So next slide, please. New York Times headline, "The virus is twice as deadly for Black and Latino people than white folks in New York City." So those numbers, we'll get more into those numbers, but that's a really important headline to hold in this moment where we're seeing the disproportionate impact of this virus on communities of color. So if you look at the concentration of cases, it is no surprise that that really dark blue, the navy blue communities are our communities, right? This includes Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, East Elmhurst, Corona, and Woodside. And I think that particularly dark navy blue, where it has the highest concentration of confirmed cases, really is representative of the community that I seek to represent. And I think it's just a travesty that it is our community, communities of color, with high rates of immigrants, high rates of Latino, Latinx communities, and high rates of Asian and South Asian communities that are disproportionately impacted. Next slide. And here's where the data is really stark. You see that the Latino community, Latinx community, is the deaths are 22.8 per 1,000 people. The Black community is just behind us at 19.8 per 100,000 people. The white community is less than, is like half of that, right? And this is where we see really stark contrast in the inequities on how many people are contracting and dying from coronavirus. And again, we'll move to the next slide, but we'll see again where those incidences and deaths are happening, and it's in our communities. So look at the zip codes, right? On the left, we see the majority Black or Hispanic zip codes, the Bronx and Queens, and here Western Queens in our communities, right? And then overlay that with the coronavirus cases. And again, you see the concentration in those very, very same communities. Next slide. This is a snapshot of the district. This is from 2010, and actually there is more recent data from the community survey. This is from the 2010 census. So the numbers actually have changed a little bit. In fact, the white population is a little bit less in this district. It's about 12%. The Black population has gone up a little bit more. It's about 2.7%. The Latinx population is closer to 60%, and the Asian population has actually grown quite a bit in the last 10 years, and it's about 27%. And hopefully, we did hold a webinar on the census and why it's so critical that our communities are filling out the census and are counted, because this data is really important for all sorts of resources and the need for representation in our district. But we should see some different numbers when the new data comes out, as long as folks fill it out. Next slide. And here's a little bit of breakdown. The district is, the district's a little bit split. We don't have all of Woodside, but we did pull out data from the neighborhoods that the district represents. And what's important here to see is the how much more people of color are reflected in this community, right? So in Woodside alone, we have 36% of the community is Latino, and that's compared to 28% of the citywide numbers, right? So the Black community is much, much less. The white community is less, but the Asian Pacific Islander community is much higher. And I think what's important to note here, and the following slide, you'll see the same pattern, that we have very high foreign-born rates, meaning our immigrant populations, and lower rates of health insurance. So there's a real connection between the immigrant population and the lack of healthcare in our communities. Next slide. Again, same thing in Jackson Heights, very, very high Hispanic Latinx population. Again, a larger Asian Pacific Islander population than the New York City total. And you'll see high rates, 62% of folks in Jackson Heights are immigrants, but yet we have less health coverage in our communities. Next slide. Again, same thing here. East Elmhurst actually has some of the highest disparities, 62% Latinx. We have 24% Black, which has the highest Black population of the district, although the district has been carved in a way that the 35th Assembly District has most of the Black population, but it basically shares the borders in East Elmhurst. And this is where you see, again, a very high rate of foreign-born populations of 55%, and lower rates of health insurance. But you look at the preventable hospitalizations, and it's higher than the average in New York City. It's 1,661 in New York City, and then 1,772 here in East Elmhurst. Next slide. And again, the same thing with Corona, very, very high rates of Hispanic Latinx community. I didn't talk about the poverty rate, but this is where some of the poverty rates, both I think Corona and East Elmhurst has some of the higher poverty rates than the citywide average. And again, high population of foreign-born communities and lower health insurance coverage. So again, not a coincidence that we're seeing places that have large immigrant populations have less access to the healthcare that they need. Next slide. And here's Julissa. So we'll see her lovely face live in a moment, but we're super excited to have her on. Julissa's been organizing in the immigrant community for many, many years. And she's seen, very personally the impact that coronavirus has had on the Latino, Latinx immigrant community in particular. And I know talking and working alongside Make the Road that you all have lost dozens of members already, which is absolutely heartbreaking and tragic. And we're seeing the lack of food access, lack of access to any sort of relief amongst our immigrant populations. So if we can spotlight Julissa, and we'll engage in our conversation. Hello, Julissa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for bringing me into your casitas today.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So maybe just start off by introducing yourself and talking about your role at Make the Road Action and just what you're seeing on the ground amidst the crisis.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Julissa Bisono. I'm with Make the Road Action. I'm actually the Queens coordinator there. But I also been organizing in my community for the last 20 years since I was a baby. Basically Make the Road Action, we build political power. We work on different issues, from working with the LGBTQ community, working on health, education, workers, housing, climate change, immigration and civil rights. So basically making sure that the Black and Brown communities' voice are being uplifted, and making sure also that through policy and getting folks elected who are going to be bold and progressive at the city level, at the state level, and also at the federal level. So that's what Make the Road Action is about. And like Jessica, you mentioned our sister organization, Make the Road New York, we've lost about close to 60 of our members already passed away due to COVID-19, and it's heartbreaking to see that, and just like seeing folks who right now, because of their immigration status, not having any type of relief. We have lots of family who right now are like struggling to survive because they have no income and no support. They didn't get a stimulus check. They don't have access to unemployment insurance and are not right now able to get any support. So they're struggling to pay the rent. I have folks that at the end of the day have not paid rent for, in April couldn't pay rent. Now we're in May, they still can't pay rent, and are also struggling to put food on the table. Aside from the health concerns that they have, because either they don't have no health insurance, and basically are saying, what should I do? And also struggling with remote learning too, because the whole education system, when the schools shut down, folks were like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what this remote learning looks like. So it's a combination of stuff, and people are worried about what's gonna happen. We're seeing the state starting to open little businesses, but also worry about what does that mean? Are we opening too fast? So real quick, buenas noches, mi nombre es Julissa, soy la coordinadora de la coordinadora de Queens de Se Hace Camino en Acción. He estado haciendo trabajo comunitario desde hace 20 años. Y nosotros en Se Hace Camino en Acción somos una organización que estamos luchando para crear poder político en nuestras comunidades. Trabajamos en el área de salud, trabajadores, inmigración y derechos civiles, con la comunidad LGBTQ, con padres y con cambio climático. Y básicamente estamos viviendo en una situación bien difícil ahora mismo, especialmente que estamos en el medio del centro de lo que la crisis de lo que está pasando, y nuestra comunidad inmigrante no tiene ningún apoyo a nivel federal. Sabemos que familias no pudieron recibir el cheque del estímulo, y tampoco están pudiendo recibir seguro de desempleo por el estatus inmigratorio. Hemos visto más de 50 de nuestros miembros que han fallecido en nuestra hermana organización Se Hace Camino en Nueva York. Y ha sido una situación bien triste, ya que varias familias en este momento no tienen el apoyo a nivel federal ni el apoyo a nivel estatal. So, no han podido pagar la renta en abril, no han podido pagar la renta en mayo, y no saben qué va a pasar en el futuro. Hemos estado viendo también que muchas familias no tienen con qué poner comida, porque no tienen ningún tipo de apoyo económico, y también se le ha hecho difícil también apoyar a sus niños y niñas en la escuela con el aprendizaje remoto en este momento. So, esas son como algunas de las cosas que nosotros hemos estado viendo en nuestra comunidad, que ha estado afectando la comunidad latina.
Gracias, Julissa. Let's talk about intersectionality. I believe immigration is one of those issues that I see all issues through an intersectional lens, recognizing that there's multiple oppressions that we all experience at the same time, right? As a woman, as an immigrant, as a person of color, as someone who is working class, right? All these things layer on. And I know such a large, you have such a strong trans community who are members of Make the Road Action and Make the Road. And I know one of the first people I know who had passed was Lorena Borjas, who was an amazing trans Latina immigrant activist who, died from COVID. And I think about the layers of disparities that she has faced in order to be, healthy in this moment, right? And be able to get the care that she needs and the dignity she deserves. Can you talk about the overlay of challenges and barriers that maybe perhaps specifically the trans immigrant community has faced in this moment, and how they have not been included in some of the packages that we're seeing from the federal government or even the state or city, and what we can do to start, calling attention to those deep disparities that are coming from both their immigration status, their gender identity, and their sexual orientation, perhaps.
For our trans community, it's already a uphill battle for them on a daily basis. And with the COVID crisis, situations got even worse for the trans community. And the fact that when you are undocumented, you have your resources or the support, it's even more limited. So we're seeing a lot of trans folks who right now don't have no kind of income relief or income support coming in. So what does that mean? That means that it's already hard for them to find a place to live, for someone to rent. So many are struggling right now in terms of like, how can I pay my rent, right? How can I put food on the table? And also in terms of like health services, it's really been challenging, especially early on, to get tested. Where should I go? And we had a lot of members who will show up to the hospital and then being turned away multiple times before they got into a real dire situation with the COVID, where they finally were being admitted into the hospital. And that's not right. Like, folks, whether you are trans, you're human. And if you are sick in this situation, you shouldn't be, at the end of the day, denied those health services. So, quiero compartir, para la comunidad trans ha sido bien difícil ya. Para esa comunidad ya la situación era difícil. Ahora, con la situación de la crisis de COVID, la situación se ha puesto mucho más peor, especialmente si uno no tiene estatus migratorio, porque los recursos de dinero es más limitado. Y hemos visto situaciones donde han ido al hospital buscando apoyo cuando estaban con el virus, y le han negado la puerta 1 y 2 y 3 veces. Algunas veces no la han podido atender hasta que la cosa está tan crítica, y nadie se le debe negar un servicio de salud. Esto es un inhumano para hacer eso.
Yes. Today I rolled out my immigration plan, and some of the issues that I'm fighting for are issues that I believe could have prevented the crisis. Things like having the New York Health Act intact, right? That's something that many communities have been fighting for. I have gone up to Albany many times to fight for that. We want to expand the essential plan, right, to include our undocumented communities. We want to abolish ICE, which is largely a federal issue, but there's a lot that the state can do to limit the power of ICE and the cooperation of ICE in New York. What are the other policies, Julissa, you think that we could have pushed for or are pushing for that would have, prevented the drastic effects that we are seeing right now in our communities?
Basically, we need to make sure there's the New York Health Act, which will ensure everyone. We here in New York City, we're lucky enough to have insured everyone, regardless of your immigration status. But we know that the rest of the state, we have folks that don't have that benefit right now, or that privilege. So that is something that we are definitely wanna continue that it should pass during this time, and more than ever, especially that we're going through this health crisis. Another thing that I think right now is also to help the families who are really struggling to cancel the rent. We have an eviction moratorium right now, but we all know that that does not go far. Landlords are still pushing for tenants to pay their rent. We have seen cases where landlords have put people out in the streets because they have not been able to pay the rent. And that's why we're also pushing to cancel the rent. We're also pushing for a 3.5 billion worker fund. A lot of immigrant workers were left out of any type of relief from the federal government. So that's why we need to make sure that state steps up and actually provides this worker fund to these workers who many are essential workers right now, who are working right now, and because they need to support their families. We would like also to make sure that we free them all. There's a lot of folks that are currently incarcerated, either in detention centers or in prisons, who are at risk of getting the COVID virus. And we know that if you're incarcerated, there's no such thing as social distance. So we're also pushing for folks that are at risk of getting the COVID virus for them to actually free them. So nosotros estamos en este momento empujando para que pasen un proyecto de ley donde estamos queriendo que todas las personas tengan seguro de salud, no importa su estatus migratorio. Sabemos que en la ciudad de Nueva York tengamos ese privilegio en este momento, pero el resto del estado no, y necesitamos que todo el mundo, no importa su estatus migratorio, de que puedan tener seguro de desempleo, seguro de salud. También estamos empujando para que cancelen la renta. En este momento el Estado tiene un momento de evicción, pero sabemos que eso no es suficiente porque hay caseros que todavía están presionando para que sus inquilinos le paguen la renta. Hemos visto casos donde hay personas que lo han sacado fuera a la calle, los caseros, porque no han podido pagar la renta. También hemos visto que queremos que haga un fondo de 3.5 mil millones para trabajadores inmigrantes que en este momento no recibieron apoyo de a nivel federal. Necesitamos que el Estado venga y lo apoye, ya que ellos también no pueden recibir seguro de desempleo debido a su estatus migratorio. Y después tengamos muchos de nuestras familias que están en este momento en centros de detenciones y en prisiones y que están a riesgo de recibir el coronavirus, y sabemos que al final del día cuando uno está en una cárcel o una prisión, uno no puede estar a distancia de una persona. So, estamos pidiendo también que saquen a esas personas también.
Thank you, Julissa. I think what's so important in those comments is that it's not the Band-Aid solutions we need. We need real systemic solutions, and it's not just a singular immigration issue. It is about housing. It is about criminal justice, right? It is about workers' rights and worker justice, and the way in which our state and federal government has allowed communities just to fall through the cracks. And now we're seeing what that means. And is our communities, our immigrant communities, who are the essential workers, who are on the front lines, who are risking their lives every single day and do not get a dime of relief. And it is infuriating. And again, I'm just so grateful for your work, and I'm ready to fight, because this is just it's inhumane. It's inhumane and immoral that our communities are being denied access to their human rights. And I know from talking to some of your members that even though rent had the eviction moratorium, they're still being threatened to be thrown out of their homes because of their immigration status. We're going to call ICE on you. So there's fear in even standing up for your rights, even if they know that there's a moratorium, that threat hangs over them. So thank you for that. I want to uplift the fact that you all released a report today. So if you could share more about the report and some of the findings or some of the stories that came out of it, and then also where to find it.
Our sister organization, Make Their Own New York, we released a report today, basically sharing of all the people who have been excluded from, who are living in the middle of the epicenter, but have been excluded, right? And we surveyed, Make Their Own New York survey over close to 300 of the members, and notice that in those findings, most people are saying, I don't have food. A lot of families, 9 out of 10 families are currently reporting that they have no income at all right now to support the families. We're also seeing folks who have not been able to pay the rent in the month of April and May, and most likely won't be able to pay the month of the rent for the following months because they have no way of getting any type of income. So, and just like saying folks that are saying, I'm relying on putting food on the table, going to organizations such as Make Their Own New York, or going to food pantries, or going to churches, to rely on putting food on the table. And this is why we need to push for something that is going to be long-term. Like, this is not sustainable for families to just continue relying on community groups and also churches and different people from the community. We need something that is going to be long-term, that is really going to make sure that it's going to help out families, because this is not something that is going to, like, yes, someday, soon, maybe, who knows, we might open the economy, but at the end of the day, just because we're opening up businesses again, and that doesn't mean people are still are still not dealing with the crisis. So we need to make sure that we find something that is not just going to be like short-term solutions. Yeah, it's great to get food right now, but what is going to help us long-term, right? So, nuestra organización Emana se hace camino en Nueva York. Hoy compartió un reporte sobre, estuvimos haciendo una encuesta con casi más de 300 de nuestra membresía, y nos dimos cuenta que en esa encuesta habían muchas familias que en este momento 9 de cada 10 familias decía que no tenían ningún apoyo económico, familias que no han podido pagar la renta en el mes de abril o en el mes de mayo, y de pronto no van a poder pagar la renta en varios meses. Y también básicamente que no tienen, solo están dependiendo de las iglesias, de los centros comunitarios para poder poner comida en la mesa. Y sabemos que esto es algo no es sostenible. Nosotros necesitamos soluciones que van a ser a largo plazo, porque al final del día esta crisis, aunque el pueblo y la economía comienza a abrir otra vez, sabemos que esta situación va a durar varios meses, y sabemos que varias familias todavía van a seguir en la misma crisis.
Thank you. And just a reminder, if folks have questions, please feel free to chat it in the chat box or raise your hand. Julissa, can you talk about what resources are available to the community? Hey, buddy. And, you know, as you mentioned, you know, it's wonderful that there's so many people stepping up and offering mutual aid. We're doing that ourselves as well, but it's not a solution. We shouldn't have to rely on the kindness of strangers to feed our families. And I know the opportunities for relief are very limited, but what are the opportunities that are there? I know the city has stepped up and has created a fund. I don't know where they're at in terms of the distribution of the funds, or if people can learn more, but if you could share some of the resources out there.
Yes, so in terms, I know that the mayor has announced about providing a fund for undocumented families. That's still in the process of being rolled out. Hopefully we have some news in the upcoming week. And in terms of, there's also, you could call 311. They, you could call, they speak in multiple languages. You could call and ask for food, and they'll deliver food to your house. That's another way for you to have access to food. You could also see the website. They have lots of information in terms of where can you go get tested for COVID right now in this moment in the different areas of the city, in terms of getting COVID, and also in terms of like remote learning. The Department of Education, the website is pretty up to date with support for parents on remote learning. So, quiero decir que para ayuda en este momento, sabemos que el alcalde hizo un anuncio hace una semana atrás para proveer fondos para las familias inmigrantes. Este programa todavía no ha comenzado, pero esperemos ya que para la próxima semana tengamos noticias sobre este alivio que va a ser para las familias que no tienen papeles en este momento. También uno puede llamar al 311, ellos hablan varios lenguajes y puede pedir para que le manden comida a su casa. También el Departamento de Educación, la página de ellos tienen aprendizaje bien actualizado sobre aprendizaje remoto para las madres y padres que quieren tener más apoyo sobre aprendizaje remoto.
Thank you, Julissa. We have a question about the federal stimulus package. What is available for undocumented immigrants, if anything, and what actions being taken to push on our own Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or others to fight for our communities?
Well, right now, unfortunately, we haven't had any type of support from the federal that is supporting our undocumented families. And that is very, very hard to say out loud right now. And I just want to like cry for a moment because it's upsetting to see that. We know that immigrant families are the backbone of this country. They are essential community to this country, and the fact that they have not gotten, we have passed 3 stimulus packages. None of those stimulus packages in this time have supported the immigrant communities. That's why we're seeing our families passing at a higher rate than anything, because at the end of the day, they say the coronavirus, anybody could get the coronavirus. It doesn't matter if you're undocumented or not documented, you could get this virus, but the policies in place are not there to support our community. So we have been talking to, we've had a town hall with Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez about 3 weeks ago. We've also been meeting with different representatives such as Chris Mann. We met with 2 weeks ago. We met with Nidia Velázquez on Tuesday. We're pushing to make sure that they pass a stimulus package that is going to be a recovery for everyone, that is going to include undocumented families. We have a lot of families that pay taxes with their I-10. Why are those folks not being included in this package? Why are they not getting any relief? That is not right. That is not human. Basically, we've been pushing, and I urge everyone here to please call your congressman person and continue to push and make sure that there's going to be an actual recovery that's going to be a recovery for all. So, básicamente me frustra y me siento tan mal que en este momento hemos pasado 3 paquetes de estímulos, pero nada de estos paquetes que no han venido a tener apoyo a la comunidad inmigrante. Y nosotros sabemos que la comunidad inmigrante son esencial para este país, pero vemos que al mismo tiempo no ha habido ningún tipo de apoyo. Sabemos que el coronavirus no discrimina. Básicamente no importa si tú tienes papeles o si tienes papeles, sabemos que tú puedes contaminarte con el virus. Entonces, no es justo que este grupo de personas no están siendo excluidos para ellos recibir apoyo. Por eso estamos empujando y hemos tenido varias conversaciones con diferentes congresistas. Hace unas semanas atrás tuvimos conversaciones con Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, con Chris Mann, y también ayer tuvimos con la representante también Nidia Velázquez. Hemos estado teniendo conversaciones con todos los representantes alrededor de nosotros, porque necesitamos asegurarnos que en este paquete que están debatiendo en este momento incluya a las personas que también no tienen papeles. Sabemos que hay mucha comunidad inmigrante que pagan sus taxes con el I-10, pero ellos no están recibiendo apoyo, y esto no es justo y es inhumano en este momento. Esperemos que ustedes llamen a sus congresistas y empújenlo a ellos y a ellas para que al final del día incluyan un paquete que va a rescatar a todo el mundo, no importa su estatus migratorio.
Thank you. And we have just a few more minutes, so if you do have a question, please go ahead and chat it. We do have a question about mixed status families. So one in which the one spouse might be a U.S. citizen, and then the other spouse undocumented and maybe filed with an I-10. What happens there?
That is heartbreaking too. Unfortunately, if you are a mixed family, so if your significant other is undocumented and has an I-10 number, you weren't eligible to receive the stimulus package. So it's not just excluding families that are undocumented, it's also excluded families that were mixed families. And that is just unspeakable. It's really bad. I hear you, Jamie. It's cruel, it's messed up. And this is why we need to continue to push for something that is gonna make sure that it's gonna be a recovery for everyone. So, afortunadamente, el stimulus que pasaron hace una semana atrás también excluyó a familias mixtas. So, por ejemplo, si su compañero o compañera no tiene papeles y usted tiene papeles, no importaba si usted tenía papeles, usted no era elegible para recibir ese apoyo o ese cheque en el momento, y es algo totalmente inhumano, cruel, porque también no solo excluyó a familias inmigrantes, pero también excluyó a personas que también tienen estatus aquí en los Estados Unidos.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Jamie, for your comment. It is absolutely cruel and heartbreaking. And again, I want to lift up the report that Make the Road issued this morning. It's fresh off the presses. The link is in the chat, but you can visit maketheroadnewyorkny.org, and then you'll see the report available there. So we're pretty much at time, so we could wrap up now. Julissa, thank you so much for your amazing work, your amazing advocacy, and most importantly, the power that you're building amongst the immigrant population in our communities to create change for themselves, their families, and their communities. Is there any last words you want to share with our audience, or any demands you want to encourage us to take to create a better, a better future for our neighbors?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that we Make the Road Action, we supported Jessica. I think it's very important when you are looking to endorse or back up a candidate that you look at the platform, look at where they stand on the issues. You understand? And this is why Make the Road Action decided to endorse Jessica, because she is someone that is gonna fight for us in Albany. Right now, we're seeing how the federal hasn't stepped up to do their stuff to support the Latinx community, especially the undocumented families. We need to make sure that we need to have someone at the state level advocating for us. It's great to see folks out there working in the community, but at the same time, are they aligning with our issues? Are they okay with what we are pushing for? Are they really gonna stand up and speak up for us? And are not gonna be afraid, especially in times like we are today in this crisis. We don't need people that are just gonna sit back or just gonna go with the establishment. We need people that are gonna be fierce in that. And that's why I urge you to make sure that you look at folks where they are on the different issues and see where they're at, because that also, it's like, it's important. Like when you're out there in Albany, and I'm telling you, because I'm during budget season, I'm there every week lobbying, pushing for our families, our Black and brown families that are every day being affected by this messed up racist system that we have in place. You have to make sure that you look at the candidates' issues where they stand at, because you don't want to be disappointed when you help that person get elected and then they are not aligned with your values. And that's important. So this is why we are supporting Jessica González-Rojas for Assembly in District 34. She has been a fierce leader, has worked a lot with us in the last 20 years, have advocated for us in the health system. I've seen her work go up to Albany constantly to push to make changes on the reproductive system, working a lot to fight for the LGBTQ system. Like Jessica, I just want to say, like, thank you. So, and it's an honor for me to stay here and like back you up and support you. And like I said, like, it's important to make sure that you guys are reading where people stand at in the issues, because we, like up in Albany, it's a whole different type of beast. It's a whole different ball game. And we need to make sure that we have like folks really out there, like really speaking up and are not afraid to take on whoever we need to take on to make things happen for our community. So, quiero decir que es sumamente importante que ustedes estén mirando a quién ustedes están respaldando y cómo ellos están en los diferentes temas. Eso es sumamente importante. No solo mirar a la persona, oh, lo veo a esa persona en mi comunidad, pero cómo ellos están en los diferentes temas. Porque cuando uno está allá en Albany, y se lo digo por experiencia porque soy una persona que durante el tiempo de presupuesto estoy ahí regularmente cada semana y veo cómo las cosas van y necesitamos ahí que no tenga miedo a abrir la boca y representarnos, que en verdad esa persona va a estar ahí para el pueblo. Y por eso le digo a ustedes que es importante que ustedes miren cómo están los candidatos en las diferentes áreas, porque es una cosa que cuando usted ayude a que esa persona llegue a esa posición y resulta que esa persona no está alineada con los temas, con los valores y los temas que usted está a nivel estatal. So, por eso le urjo a ustedes que por favor chequen dónde están los candidatos en los diferentes temas. Y para mí ha sido un honor que nosotros hemos estado respaldando a Jessica González Rojas para asambleísta en el Distrito 34, porque ella está en acuerdo con nuestra plataforma, y también ella ha luchado mucho los últimos 20 años, ha estado trabajando para que tengamos mejores derechos a nivel de salud, y ha estado también luchando bien fuertemente para la comunidad LGBTQ, y por eso sabemos que es un honor estar aquí hoy luchando para que ella en verdad represente una de las áreas más diversas de toda la nación. So I just want to say we are pushing, and it's an honor for us to hopefully have you as our assembly in one of the most diverse districts in the country.
Yes. And thank you. I mean, thank you for saying that, because the one thing I want to uplift is that I've been in the trenches in the immigrant justice movement for over 20 years. This is not political. This is personal. My father's an immigrant from Paraguay. My partner's an immigrant from Peru. Like, this is my life. And let me tell you, I was fighting for this before it was like cool to be progressive. You know, I was arrested 7 years ago for laying in the street in DC because the president had failed us in advancing an immigrant justice system, to advancing comprehensive immigration reform, right? I've been up to Albany. I've been fighting for decades for our communities. And it is, you say it's an honor to work with me. It is an honor to work with Make the Road, because again, it's an organization that's building power, right? Not just like Band-Aid solutions, but building real power amongst our communities, right? To fight for the change that they want to see in this world. And I'm right there alongside them. So thank you so much. You know, again, it's so important to have someone that reflects the diversity, the values of this district. As we said earlier in the presentation, representation matters because inequality kills, and it matters who's sitting at the table and who's fighting for the solutions for our community. So thank you so much, Julissa, for your time, for your expertise. Please check out Make the Road's report, maketheroadny.org, and let's keep fighting. Again, we're 6 weeks out of this election. I need everyone's support to make it over the finish line, and I know we can get it done. So thank you, Julissa, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, and we'll have another webinar on Sunday. Take care, everyone. Bye, Julissa. Gracias, mujer.